Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. So in this video, we're going to be discussing HEX, a realistic price prediction for the peak of its market cycle. Now, if you like this kind of technical, quantitative, hybrid analysis on the HEX price, leave a thumbs up, be subscribed by the end of the video if you aren't already, and let's go ahead and talk about a realistic price prediction for the peak of HEX when its market cycle top comes in. Now, let's talk about this a little bit, right? Because there's an argument and an assumption that can be made on whether or not HEX price is tied to the rest of the crypto markets, because there are two opposing ideas here, where you have the majority of the HEX liquidity tied to USDC. You can tell that here on Uniswap. For example, on Uniswap V3, you see that you have $2.37 million locked in the HEX USDC pair, whereas the HEX ETH pair has significantly less, only less than 10%, right? Approximately 9% of the HEX USDC pair. And you might argue, okay, well, V3 is only a quarter of the total liquidity for HEX, and you would be right. You're right. It's only around 25%. And you can see that here with V3 ETH, V3 USDC. When you sum them up here at hex.win/charts, it's about 23%. So even less than a quarter. But what about V2? V2 takes up approximately 76.5% of all liquidity for HEX, right? And notice how 58% of that is in USDC. So if you add up the USDC pairs and completely ignore the ETH pairs, you're looking at 80+% of your liquidity tied to USDC. And if you believe that price bonding is based on the bonding of that pair's liquidity to other coins. So for example, to get Ethereum, to get your ETH, when you needed to buy Bitcoin, there was a time for this, by the way, when you pretty much needed to buy Bitcoin to transfer that into ETH, and you would see the price of Bitcoin generally pump before the price of ETH. So you could say, okay, well, Bitcoin is now, its price is a lagging indicator of the ETH price, which was kind of cool back in the day when you could do that. But now that liquidity has been spread across different pairs, that is not the case as much, because you can trade amongst different pairs. So if the majority of the liquidity currently is in USDC, right, US dollar tied, pegged, 80% of that, then you have the argument that maybe price is less tied to the rest of the crypto markets. But nonetheless, we're going to play devil's advocate here and say, okay, let's just assume that whole theory is wrong, and rather you want to subscribe to the idea that let's say you want to subscribe to the idea that there are risk on and risk off scenarios, right? A risk on scenario would be where people are just literally buying everything, buying stock, crypto, whatever. Risk off would generally be something like this coronavirus capitulation event, where you had a major dip across all markets. It was just a risk off. HEX dumped, Ethereum dumped, Bitcoin, the S&P 500, right? NASDAQ. It all just crashed. And that was a risk off event for just all markets. And so you can kind of choose whether you choose your liquidity theory and say, okay, HEX kind of has its own rhythm and isn't tied to the rest of crypto, or you could subscribe to this other idea that HEX is just like any other asset and it'll be tied to the risk profile of any given period of time. Either way, we're going to subscribe to more of the other one, even though I honestly do believe more in the liquidity in USDC causing HEX to have its own rhythm. I believe slightly more in that, but nonetheless, I do want to play devil's advocate, like I said, and let's go ahead and jump into it, right? What am I talking about? Stop rambling, and let's get into the actual substance of the video, which is, what is a realistic peak, assuming it's tied to the rest of crypto? Well, we'd look at different scenarios because we don't know when the rest of crypto is going to peak out, or if it already had its peak, right? Now, HEX is only down, I don't want to do the percentages right now, but it's down less percentages from its peak, local peak, than most cryptos are. I did the math last night, and I'll do it for you later in this video if you want to see the proof. We don't know when the rest of crypto is going to top out, but we can have certain guesses, right? So if we were to guess and say, okay, what if crypto tops out at the end of the year and we have a blow off top into December 31st? Then we'd be looking at a realistic maximum. This is the most bullish scenario, right? My most bullish price prediction for January 1st of 2022, or rather, let's say December 31st of 2021. So the end of December 2021, while the pink curve, which has been historic overvaluation from our exponential fit, puts us at $7.52. Okay. This is just based off math. It's based off our exponential fit, how extended we've been above it, approximately 24x, right? This level, 24.377. And what's 24.377 times your red exponential curve at this point in time? Well, I showed you, $7.50. Now, what if it were to peak out the rest of crypto along with HEX? What if it were to peak out summer of 2022? So maybe it takes a little longer. Bitcoin just kind of does its thing, sideways, ETH sideways, maybe a little dumperoonie, and then we actually get a nice recovery back into a bull cycle. Maybe this is characterized by a double peak cycle. A lot of people are saying that. We don't know. We really don't know. But let's say instead of end of this year, it was midway through next year when we saw a bubble. And assuming it reached a similar level of overvaluation. Well, at this point, you can start arguing for the idea of diminishing returns. Maybe because we've seen 2 full years of data, a little more, 2.5 years. Maybe things start bending over a little bit, and you end up having to do, instead of a linear regression on the log chart, maybe you start doing a logarithmic regression, right? And so maybe again, it's a curve that starts bending over, kind of like the logarithmic regression you see on Bitcoin. A lot of people sharing these charts. So if that does start happening, right, which over time it probably will. We don't know if it'll be the 2-year, 3-year, 4-year, 5-year mark. We just don't know. It could be sooner, right? This model could break sooner. We just don't know. But the longer out you go, the more valid it is to say maybe we reach lower curves. And so maybe if we were to peak out in July of next year, right, let's say July 4th or so, July 5th, then we could be looking at $35 HEX. And this sounds insane, right? Sounds insane. But keep in mind that there are cryptos who have done even more insane gains. Bitcoin is up, if you count it from a penny down to where it's at now, 3 million X. It was trading at lower than a penny at some points. I think like a third of a penny at some points back when it was in traditional markets. And so you could argue that from that point up to the local peak of 65K, 20 million X, right? Give or take an order of magnitude, 3 to 20 million X. Just think about that. What would 20 million X be for HEX? Like $1,000? You see what I'm saying? So there are cryptos who have done this. There's precedent. This is precedented. And that's all I really care about. Not all I care about, but a huge part of what I care about on this channel is historical precedent. Has this happened before? Has a coin done 1 million X before? Yes. Has a coin done 10 million X before? Well, if you consider that Bitcoin was trading beneath a penny, even if you go as conservative as saying half a penny to 50K, yeah, that's 10 million X. So yes, the answer is yes, coins have done this. So can other coins do it? Well, we have historical precedent. That's why I think it's in the cards. So when you hear numbers like $35, where you're like, oh, well, Bitcoin did more X, right? So even if HEX doesn't beat Bitcoin, it can still do that. It's hard to imagine right now, but I don't think it's out of the cards completely. And if you argue even lower levels, you're looking at $20 or $14. But again, end of the year, $7 potentially. If you're more conservative, maybe $4. If we have a blow off top, a peak into the end of the year, if it takes until July of 2022, then you're looking at you're eyeballing $20 to $70. If you look at end of 2022, I actually don't have that on this graph right here. And I've been looking at the Fibonacci regression rainbow, by the way. It's on the website here, LookIntoHex.com. When you hit the regression rainbow on your charts, you get 2. When you used to just get this equidistant model, where each curve is the same distance from the next on the log chart, nice and equidistant. Rather, again, shout out to Crypto Coffee for the idea to do a second fit, which is Fibonacci's based, giving each intermediate level more mathematical significance. I really like it. So we're going to be using this one a little more often now. And even certain things like certain fractals look a little more interesting on this chart. And you have two perspectives now, right? So I think that's really cool. Just kind of a tangent. Notice how we had a peak to the yellow here, back down almost to the orange, back up to the yellow, and then blast off, right? Yellow, almost to the orange. And recently we had to the yellow, back down to the orange, and may we go back to the yellow and then blast off. You see what I'm saying? And even if you're even more bullish and say, well, what if our blow off top is this summer? Then you're looking at a maximum, let's say, of like, it would reach $1. This maximum level of overvaluation from the fit goes to $1 on July 14th. So in my opinion, if you're asking what's the minimum amount of time it would take to see $1, I would say July 14th is your most bullish prediction on time there. All right, most bullish in time. Saying when can we reach $1? I think the soonest would be July 14th, but I don't think that is actually going to happen. I think it will take longer, right? That's our most bullish scenario. But again, we have our targets of end of the year. If we're just to go ape shit like we did back here and hit this level of overvaluation from our exponential fit, mind you, then we'd be looking at close to $8. If we were to drop a level and look at it maybe a little farther in time, summer of next year, by the point where it's actually designed to be at 10,000x, so 50 cents or more, then we could be looking at $37 or $20 if you look at a lower level. And I'll do my best actually to update this with more time, right? Can I do that with you guys right here? That'd be kind of cool. Let's do our setup, our master. I think this is it, our x-axis. It really depends if I have more time on that axis. Let's see. Do I? No, I would need to actually add dates. So that's okay. Next time we look at this, it'll probably be updated out. Yeah, I should update this actually to go all the way out to like end of 2022 to cover a full 3 years. Yeah, I think that'd be cool. Let me know in the comments if you think I should do that. Should I leave it to be ending here July 2022 when you go on the website? Because remember, summer 2022 is that 2.5 year 10,000x design. I think that was one of my original reasons for kind of cutting off here. But if you want to see it more on like an annual, you have a full 3 years of projection data here. I think that actually be pretty cool too, ending it like December of 2022, going into January of 2023. So let me know in the comments below what you think of that. Yeah, like the video if you enjoy this kind of quantitative and technical analysis on the HEX charts. Be subscribed by now, most definitely, if you aren't already, and go ahead and follow on LookIntoHex Twitter. So it's twitter.com/LookIntoHex. I made this as it just kind of came to me one day when I was thinking that I'm making all this HEX content under my personal brand, and I think having a presence, a brand presence for the website, which if you look at it, it really has nothing to do with me personally. Like, sure, I made it, but having a brand that lives on beyond my personal image, my face, these videos I'm making, because, you can visit this website, never watch my videos, never know my face and who I am. So I think having something that lives on like that beyond me and my personal brand is kind of cool. And that's why I made the LookIntoHex Twitter. So go ahead and follow. We almost have 100 on here already, so you guys are killing it. Thanks so much. Let's get that to 100 and beyond. On this page, I'm really just going to be updating you with certain things that get updated on the website, like the heat maps got updated recently, so I tweeted that out. Something else I might say, I didn't tweet about this, but it would be relevant. Another example is I recently, yesterday actually, updated all of the models to be precisely consistent in font size of the legend, text size, like it's all consistent now, where you have the X and the Y axis, titles and data, as well as the legend, all the same font and size, which it wasn't earlier. I even added the legends on the ones that didn't have them already, so you can more clearly see what I'm talking about. And when I just say L, they're just levels, right? Level 1 through 7, and whether it's extension or price, it's all labeled now, and it's all consistent across all the regression rainbow charts, the HEX versus BTC, HEX versus ETH. And again, like I mentioned, the heat maps chart is made on a completely different thing. I actually do this in Python. So this one's always going to be a bit different. The heat maps, like it's non-interactive, and I have to manually update these like every week or so, whereas the other ones I update every day. But yeah, these are updated for recent data. Just updated these a couple days ago. Yeah, so I'm pretty sure that's it. Thanks again for watching. Subscribe, turn on the bell, leave a like, and I'll catch you in the next one.